Batman, on my level, you could be the greatest individual in football history.
We are back with another video, and I can't lie, it's more stressful times, isn't it, Ty?
More stressful, more heartache, more pain, and I'll be honest, more divided fans than ever at the moment.
Because we were getting cooked today on Twitter, weren't we?
Absolutely cooked. I feel like I'm Marcus Rashford himself.
Listen, we'll get onto that, but before we get started, make sure everyone likes the video, comment, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to Trafford Tunnel. The link is in the title. Let's get started. The main man creating all the conversation, Marcus Rashford.
Wow, man.
Go on. What are your initial thoughts on how, of all the developments over the last day, everyone just coming for Marcus Rashford now?
Yeah, do you know what? I'm not going to lie to you. Let me just tell my wife off. This is going to be a convo where I'm just going to say little parts because there's so much I think to talk about. I could probably talk for 10 minutes on the go, and I don't think we can do that. So Marcus Rashford, first of all, I think let's start on his performance before we get to everything else. So, Statman, man, it was one of them games, right, where you're up against Matty Cash, and I'm like, they're playing a back four, and I'm like, Rashford is a confidence player. He needs a goal, or he needs a game where not even if he scores, he needs a game where he beats his man a few times. And I feel like, right, he's going to feel like he's getting his mojo back. And it was a massive opportunity for him. He played under Rangnick, I think in the Newcastle game, the Norwich game, he was poor. Crystal Palace game, he was, even though we won, he was actually one of the most poor attackers, you could say. So he's had chances under Rangnick, and Rangnick was bold to say, do you know what? I'm gonna drop you, and I'm gonna drop Bruno Fernandes. You could say basically they were dropped. So for him to come back in the side for something that he's not really used to when you're dropped, you should be like, right, I'm raring to go. I want to make a statement. And I'm not even going to give excuses to Rashford on injury because he's done a few interviews already where he's like, I'm ready to go. Like, I feel so much better playing without the injury. So I was really like nervous but excited for his performance. And I was underwhelmed, completely underwhelmed. One thing I've noticed in Rashford for me in that performance yesterday specifically, and the reason I say that is because if you watch the game like me and you do, instead of just goals and assists, McTominay done about 4 or 5 passes, right? Big up McTominay on the passes, but in the first half, he got the ball out to Rashford and he put him in 5 or 6 1v1 situations where it's just him and Matty Cash. Now, a Rashford with confidence, a Rashford before his injury, a Rashford 2.5 years ago, whatever it is when he was playing well with Martial and Greenwood, gets the ball and he runs at his man. Now, one thing that stood out to me is his explosiveness. That looked gone. And I'm not saying it is the injury or he's not played many 90 minutes. I think he's had four 90 minutes since like the last 12 months. But something about his game just looked off. Now, I'm not going to say, right, he's done, because I don't want to say Rashford's done and look like a melon, but there are certain aspects in his game where I don't know if he can develop, and I am extremely worried about him. And I just thought it was a performance that if he asked me to rate it out of 10, I'll be saying a 3 out of 10. Decision-making was poor, didn't beat his man, played safe, body language even, and the image of him being substituted summed up how we were feeling, summed up how he was feeling, sat in there, winning 1-0, but he was just like, what is happening to me? Literally, that picture there painted 1,000 words, which is what I put on Twitter and which I got cooked for. So yeah, performance-wise, that man, I'll be honest with you, I am disappointed. I am worried about him, and we'll get onto it, and I think it's deeper than football. What about you?
Because with Rashford, you know one thing I've always said, and I was talking about Rashford with you a couple of weeks ago, innit? The thing that made Rashford so good was his directness, his explosiveness. That aspect of his game is completely gone right now. And I don't know whether you can kind of get those back, especially explosiveness kind of thing. With all the injuries he's had, how, let's be honest, how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has managed him over the last couple of years. Because I'm pretty sure in terms of under 24 players, he's in the top 10 in terms of minutes played.
Yeah.
Since he's made his debut. Like that's incredible.
Wait, and where's that? Across Europe or the team?
Across Europe. Like, it's literally a joke. Like, I think I even sent you something today where it's like, Rashford's already played. Let me get it.
Yeah, I saw that actually. He's played 50
Rashford
games
has
per
played
season,
more than
4 seasons.
Yeah, Rashford has played more than 50 games in a single season, 5 times in his career so far.
5.
Neville, Scholes, and Beckham 4 times, Giggs and Rooney only twice.
In their careers, by the way.
Yeah. So, like, in terms of Rashford's development and how he's been used, let's be honest, he has been used very, very well. But at the same time, like, there has to be, as much as I love Rashford, you kind of have to say, you know what? We know why you could be playing bad, but you are playing bad. Like yesterday against Aston Villa, you lost possession more times you complete passes. Like, that's not something you associate with Marcus Rashford. I think he completed 2 out of 6 dribbles.
Yeah,
Rashford, like, he's losing what he's been good at. But at the same time, this is why on Red Talk I'm so defensive of Rashford. Rashford, you can criticize his performances. I'm criticizing his performances right now. His performances haven't been good enough. But it gets to a point where people are criticizing his performances and now just straight out abusing him.
Yeah.
And that's where I think we're at with Marcus Rashford.
Yeah. I completely agree with you on that, because I think fans, what we need to make clear, and what me and my tweet and Statman agreeing with me and Statman tweeting as well, we're talking about Rashford as a footballer. You can criticize a footballer, whether it's Ronaldo, whether it's someone like Amad Diallo. At the end of the day, forget what they're earning and so forth. They're playing at Manchester United Football Club, one of the biggest clubs in the world. So the fact is, you should then be quite good at football, if I'm honest. So you can hammer his performances. You can say he should be doing better. You can also give them credit when they're doing well, which is, I can understand that. McTominay gets a lot of credit at the moment. I don't like him as a player, but he's getting credit from some fans. I'm not going to say them fans are wrong, because at the end of the day, I can see why, if they're fans of him, he's scoring goals, he's doing some good passes, they can give him credit. And it's the same for Rashford. If Rashford goes and plays against Aston Villa on this weekend and goes and scores 2, I would say, do you know what? All that criticism he's taken this week and he bounces back like that, I will then give him credit. But that's where it's got to draw the line. It's got to be football related. What I feel like now is that people are kind of using his I'm going to call it out of office, which is out of football, out of office achievements against him. I was
going to get onto that.
Yeah, and I feel like it's becoming a horrible line to cross now. Like, I don't think people realize that once you've done it, and for me personally, if I've seen someone's done that, there's no going back from that, because you said what you said. And I feel like I'm not seeing enough opinions just on this football. It's more like, go back and feed the kids, or it's like people use the great work you've done against you.
Slate you. You know what is it with Marcus Rashford? Like, this is what people need to realize. What he's done off the pitch, you can commend him. A person of colour doing what he's done at the age of 24 has been incredible. But saying stick to politics or just stick to football, for example, nonsense. Because this is what people need to realize. You lot are thinking like Marcus Rashford's done everything by himself and he's not concentrating on football. Like, do people not realize he has a team around him helping him? Like, this is what people need to realize. Like, it's not just Rashford. It's probably people doing it on Rashford's name because he has the audience that can reach a lot of people helping his cause.
Yeah.
100%. You don't need to criticize. Like, you don't need to keep saying, just go back to politics, stick to football. That's so stupid and so insensitive kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, insensitive. It's naive. And also, do you know what? I feel like it's like an easy way to target him. It's not. I'd rather sit here, Baines, if someone's really, really hating on Rashford, they'd come on this show and talk about everything football. Once you start talking about what he's done off the pitch, I feel like that's an easy way just to sort of try and fuel someone's argument. I'm not happy with Marcus Rashford's performances, by the way. People know, if you follow me and you've watched our shows, I've been on his case for a long time about sustainability of being a starter, improving his IQ, his technical security is not great. I am on him and I talk about his football appearances and his games in game time, but I will never talk about what he's done off the pitch. And I feel like with everyone on Rashford, Bainesy, I said this to my boy at work, as much as Rashford isn't doing well, who else, apart from, forget Ronaldo, take Ronaldo out of the team, right? Because he's done his 14 goals. Who else is performing? No one's actually performing. But Martial always gets stick and he's not playing and he still gets brought up. Pogba's always has stick no matter what, if he's playing well or good. And now Rashford's getting a massive stick. But it's like, there are a lot of players, Luke Shaw, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka. You could even say Fred for his recent performances when he got dropped or whatever. Van der Beek you can't talk about because he's not playing. But Greenwood, we'll touch on him as well. His selfishness. Cavani, I'll be honest with you, begging him to stay. You've got all these fans tweeting about begging Edison Cavani to stay, right? And he's been absolutely dead. I'm talking absolutely shocking. I'll sell him tomorrow. But you don't see people criticizing Cavani for his performances. But Rashford's getting everything. But it's not like the team are playing well and Rashford's the only one standing out here. The whole team collectively have been poor. And I said it to my friend at work and he was like, it's a great point. I can't put my hand up and say, right, everyone's playing well or this person's playing well. Varane might have played well yesterday, but he hasn't been, oh my God, Real Madrid Varane. So why are they not having the same energy for the whole squad? Why is it just Rashford? And this is why we're not. This is why me and you are not coming here to defend him. We're going to criticize him, but we also understand the mental health side of him still being a human, and why is the balance not fair?
Like, you need to remember, this guy was the second most abused athlete in 2020. I think it was behind LeBron James. The amount of stick this guy gets is incredible, no matter what he does, kind of thing. Because let's be honest, in 2020 he was performing, he's getting the numbers, and people are still coming after. Like, I genuinely think with Rashford, yeah, like, people need to realize Rashford knows he's not playing well.
Yeah, he does.
You're acting like this guy wants to play bad. That's what people are acting like. Like, you saw his face when he came off. He knows he put in an absolute shocking performance.
Yeah,
and he knows he's going to get gunned down on Twitter.
Yeah. Do you think he sees it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
like you know when you say that, yeah, like I said this before. I watch a lot of podcasts, innit? On the jury, he does it with footballers. Just look at how footballers say and talk about like all the abuse. You think they don't see it? They're not stupid. Like, I've literally seen someone, like, I think it was Ashley Fletcher, now plays for Watford. Yeah? He said he used to search up his name on Twitter, for example, to see how people thought he performed.
Oh, so he used to do that. Okay.
Yeah. And that's just one example. Like, a lot of players probably do that.
Yeah. I reckon they do, especially when you get players like you see sometimes in post-match interviews, some players come back with not little digs, but they will bring up something in a clever way of what they've seen online and like correct it, or if they score, they'll correct it. Do you know what I mean?
Someone like Bruno does it, for example.
Yeah, with a penalty situation or something about, well, why is it so easy if it's so easy to score pens, how have I done this and this? Exactly, because
like trust me, yeah. As much as we want to put players on a high pedestal, and I do that as well, they're human at the end of the day. They literally have access to social media. They literally watch some of the same things that we do. They see some of the same things we do. Just because they don't tweet it out or like it, they still see it.
And it's funny as well, you said it, because I always say this, even at work, and you could put it into every life perspective, but when you just say they're human, I always use that line as well, because I say no matter what, if you're on 200 grand a week, 300 grand a week, or 400 grand a week.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
You see when people just say, oh, Rashford's on £250,000 a week, he can get along with it. So stupid.
It's so wrong. It's so stupid. Far wrong. Like, I can't believe it. Like, I say this as well, with my day-to-day job, I might get paid quite well. Does it mean that I'm overly happy? No, it doesn't. And I always say, like, with football, with your job, with your everyday life, like, these guys spend, say, 50% of their life training or at games, traveling away at weekends, can't see their friends or go out and always see family. I'm at work most of the day and I come back and do streams. But the bottom line is, what I say is that happiness wins over money every single day, because at the end of the day, right now, do you think Rashford cares that he's on 200 grand a week? I'm telling you, he does not care about the 200 grand a week. That's probably the last thing in his head, that he's getting paid at the end of the week. These guys want to be happy. And if they are not happy at football, if I'm not happy at my job, I always say this, and I'm blunt with it, you're not happy with your life. And the way I break it down is that I just said, Rashford travels to games on the weekends. They train 4 or 5 days a week. Me, I'm at the job from 7 o'clock till 4 o'clock or whatever it is. That's more than 50% of our lives. So if you're not happy with where you're working or playing football, which is their job, by the way, it's not like, oh, they're just given a free pass and they kick a ball about. It's their job to them. Then you're not happy with your life. And then when you're not happy with your life, other things then start falling around you. Your relationships with your partner, or your relationship with your friends, or your relationship even with your parents. You might be snappy at them. I might come home from work and you don't even know it, Bainesy, but when you have been unhappy, your mum might ask you a basic question. And you might just snap and or answer quite rudely. And it's like, well, I just asked a basic question, but they don't know what's really going on. But deep down, what's happening around you and in your life and in your head is really affecting you to the points where you're just doing little things like that. So for me, forget the money, people, when you're talking about Rashford on 200 grand a week. Because I can tell you now, He's not happy. I've not seen that guy smile for a long time. He would take 20 grand a week right now to get his best form back, to get his happiness back, and to sort out what's ever going on outside of his life. Money is not everything, and people need to throw that excuse in the bin. Because again, what is it, Baines? I'm going to say it's lazy. It's an easy narrative just to go at him.
And a lot of people do that. And the thing is, I think you said something with Rashford as well. Like, in terms of 2021, he's had a difficult time. Like you said, his memorabilia got vandalized. Never should have happened. Racial abuse from the Euros, and let's be honest, from playing for United.
Yep.
The injuries.
Yep.
The way they lost the Euros as well, with him missing
and
the
Europa
League.
Mm.
He got an MBE, still get stick.
Yep. Broke up with his partner.
Yeah. And now all the United fans are turning on him.
So it's
like,
exactly.
And at the end of the day, he's human. He's gonna see all of this. He's gonna feel the pressure. You can criticize his footballing ability right now, but just saying, "Oh, Rashford, stick to politics. Oh, Rashford, you're on £250,000 a week. Get along with it." Stupid.
Yeah, 100%. And this is the thing. Like, even you said, and this is not challenging you, but even you said, like in 2020 or 2019, it was like he was picking up he was getting the numbers. Let's say 2020, I think it was, or even last year, people say his numbers are good. He was getting the numbers, even though he was getting the numbers.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm going to be honest. I don't think his performances were great. Like,
I've said that
his performances were not that great for someone that's getting them numbers. We should be here, sort of, lauding them, saying that they're basically doing no wrong, because sort of in the game with how we've watched it over the years. Normally, you would associate numbers with good performances. If you look at the strikers over the years and look at the Ruud van Nistelrooys, the Henrys, the Rooney Agueros, and so forth, if they have a good season in scoring goals and getting assists, they've normally played well. However, I do feel now in football, some players like Bruno Fernandes can stat pad, you could say, but not really affect the game in terms of dropping consistent performances. Rashford, the same. But
I've said this before. Like, Rashford 19-20 before lockdown, his numbers might have not been as good, but that version of Marcus Rashford,
that was the best I've seen.
10 times better, and that version of Marcus Rashford was one of the best wingers in the league. Yeah. Even last season, when he was putting up the numbers, he wasn't one of the best wingers in the league.
No, it wasn't. And I think with Rashford right now, this is why I said to you, and I think it was Hadji's stream as well, when I was talking with Adam, I said with Rashford, with anyone at Manchester United, with this team, I'm happy to take consistent performances, but also not get the results. I would rather a player like Marcus Rashford, just use him as an example because we're talking about him, to play well for 75 minutes, might not get a goal or an assist, but the team win, than for Marcus Rashford to not play well for 75 minutes, but he gets a goal or an assist in a game. For me, it papers over the cracks. And that's what Manchester United have been doing in terms of a team collectively for this time. Now, we saw it, I said it on Hadji's stream, I saw it with Pep. When Pep come in, we saw what he was trying to do, but they finished fourth in the league. We saw what Jurgen Klopp was trying to do, but they had 18 months of muscular injuries because they couldn't handle the intensity. Now, Rangnick's not going to come in and do that in the next 6 months because we know we're going to get another manager. But if we get the right manager, and I'm saying it early, and next year, I see better football and I see better performances, but we're not getting the results, I'm going to be content because I see a plan and I see what we're doing. And the perfect comparison, even though we're better than them, is Brighton Football Club. Now, I don't know if you knew, Baines, but before they beat Brentford at home, they had not won a game for 2.5 months, 3 months. But would you guys have noticed it in general to the normal person walking down the street? If I said they haven't won in 3 months, you'd be like, what? But Brighton played brilliant football. They create a lot of chances, but they weren't winning games. However, no one was saying much because they were playing well. They were creating chances. You can see what Graham Potter's trying to do. Now, if Manchester United, obviously we are a bigger club, are doing the same, but we're not winning every game, I'm ready for that. And now that's what I want to see carrying into the players, because at the end of the day, Marcus Rashford right now, he might have had good numbers. Me and you have watched his performances. They've not been good enough, and they need to improve. So I'm all about now getting 70 minutes or 75 minutes of consistent performances rather than the numbers. And it goes back to even when I talk about Van der Sar. Van der Sar was never an amazing, I know you were younger, but Van der Sar was never like, oh my God, he's Iker Casillas back then. We signed him from Fulham for 2 million. The guy won multiple titles. He was a solid pair of hands, 7 out of 10 every week. Ferdinand and Vidic, comfortable. And that's what we need right now, because Manchester United are in free fall, and it's not just Rashford. And I just don't know. We spoke about it literally last week. How does it get better for him? We actually said about changing the formation. It was me, you, and 15. We literally said, how does it get better for Marcus Rashford? You said change the formation. They kind of changed to a 4-2-3-1, and we didn't see nothing different. So what happens for Rashford now? What happens in terms of moving forward? We've got Aston Villa. We've then got we've got Brentford, and then we've got a little break actually for an international. So what happens now for Rashford going forward? What do you think is the best case scenario for him?
That's a tough one, isn't it? Because as I said, I don't know whether we're going to get the old Rashford back in terms of his qualities. But at the same time, I still think he probably needs time on the bench, innit? Like, he definitely
might turn around to you. People might turn around and say, oh, well, he's had a couple games on the bench.
Maybe for like a bit more longer period of time, innit? Like, that's my only real thing I can say. Like, just literally just get him out the firing line right now. Because no matter what he does, he's just getting gunned down. And let's be honest, like, his performances haven't been good enough. So you could argue kind of warrants the criticism in terms of his game kind of thing, innit?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's my only thing I could
Would you ever, you might think I'm steep here, would you consider taking him out of the squad? Or do you, because what, basically, actually, let me finish before you answer that. Because the only reason I ask you that is because taking him out of the squad might help him and take the fire line out of him completely. Because if he's on the bench and not even coming on, that'll be a new thing. Rashford's on the bench, can't even get minutes. Or do you feel like if you take him out of the squad, that hurts him more? Because it can work different ways.
I don't know, man. I think that's up to Ralph, innit? Like, Ralph sees these players day in, day out. He knows the type of personalities there are as well, innit? Like, that's what people need to realize. That's what Sir Alex Ferguson was very, very good at. The way he looked after these players, kind of as a father figure. That's what kind of Ralph has to be to these players as a manager. So you just have to see the type of player Rashford is. Is he going to get maybe take being left out of the squad completely in like a negative way? Or is he the type of guy when he's taken out the squad where he's going to be like, you know what, I need to work harder?
This is where it's difficult because
as outsiders, we can't judge.
Yeah, we're outsiders. We can't judge exactly, and we just have to speak as football fans and what we think is best. I do feel like it's going to be a Lingard. It's heading towards a Lingard situation where Rashford is a bit different to Lingard because Lingard, I don't think as much of a mainstay as Rashford is in the side. Rashford starts a lot of games, as he said it, top 10 players in Europe in minutes in the last few years. But it's going to be one of them ones where I do feel like what we listed there in that list I tweeted out about 2021 for him and the abuse or the negativity he's had. In 2 years' time, I would not be surprised if he does an interview with like a GQ magazine or someone he really trusts. And he says, you know what? I'm going to talk about 2021. Yeah, come on the podcast with us, Rashford. We'll just talk about it as real people. But honestly, I do feel like he will come out with what's happened this year because I do feel like it's been difficult for him. How can you, let's be honest, Baines, imagine you've done great work and you're in your own community in East London or wherever it is, and then you come out into your own neighborhood and people have vandalized it in your own neighborhood. So that it's not like you're 500 miles away. This is your own neighborhood where you grew up and where you're doing great work and people like that. Of course, it makes you feel shit. And of course, yes, it's going to affect your performances on the pitch, the stuff that's happening off it. I don't know why people feel like, oh, but all players put up with shit. And this is one thing I did want to talk about. People say, oh, what my tweet today, people responding, but on 200 grand a week, but everyone goes through stress. Everyone has problems to deal with. I said, yes. Like, people, I completely understand your frustration that he is on that money. You think he should be playing better as a footballer. But when you're saying that, you know, he in regards to what he's received, everyone puts up with it and stuff like that, what you've got to realize is there's 7 billion people in the world and apparently 21 or more maybe personalities. Do you think me and Statman Bain, for example, deal with everything the same? The simple answer is no. We get along with each other so well. We have the same interests. But if someone puts something in the comments right now which really attacks you personally, I might sit here, and this is just a small example, I might sit here and just ignore it or laugh or whatever. That might actually affect Statman, and he'll be like, raw, like, you lot are watching my content, but you're coming here to abuse me, or why can't you say it in this term? That's just a basic example of someone viewing it differently. I could sit here and laugh. Statman could come off the stream and be like, oh, did you see that comment? That's bothered me. At the end of the day, you don't realize what certain things impact on people, and everyone deals with things differently. 100%. I know I'm not the most sensitive, right? I can speak on my own experiences. I've got my missus. She's more sensitive than me. She had a go at me on the weekend for saying I'm so not sensitive, or you don't really care about this and blah, blah, blah. But it's real life. And it made me think, yeah, like honestly, and it makes me stop and think. I'm like, yeah, do you know what? Maybe I'm not. But because I'm not, I need to understand that not everyone's like me. So if I have to adapt myself or understand certain situations from their side, you've got to do that. And that is part of life and part of learning. If everyone was like me, then the world wouldn't run. If everyone was like Statman Baines, then the world wouldn't run perfect. And that's why you have different people, different personalities. So the fact that you're saying on there on Twitter, people that, oh, he needs to deal with it because everyone's got problems. Yes, everyone has problems. I don't disagree with that. But everyone deals with problems in different ways. People are more sensitive than others. People are more open than others. People sometimes are more closed than others, which leads to, for example, suicide. I'm going on a bit of a deep one, but you hear people commit suicide, but that's because they're not open. Whereas me, I've had problems in the past, but I spoke to one of my best friends about it, got me help. I'm back in a better place. But if I didn't speak about it, who knows where my head could have gone? So what people need to realize is that people deal with things differently. And right now, Marcus Rashford is going through something he's never gone through before. Having his own fans abuse him so much when he came on the scene as a 17-year-old or whatever and scored against in the Europa League and scored against Arsenal, to what's happened now and his form. He loves the club. There's no one that probably loves Manchester United more and wants to put on that shirt more than him. So everything right now is just filtering into one deep hole.
Same thing with Jesse as well. Jesse's like, you know, when people were like, why did Jesse not leave? I always said this. Jesse's a fan of this club.
Yeah,
like you've seen the pictures when he was a baby. You want to
scare your boy, your club, play as much as possible.
Like, so when people say these players don't care, like, it's nonsense. I know Jesse's a fan of this club. I know Rashford's a fan of this club. I know they care. Yeah. You think they're happy with his performances?
No.
You think they're not working hard right now?
They're
trying to find a solution.
They're more vexed than us. I guarantee Rashford is more. We're pissed off. Rashford is more pissed off than us if they lose a game and he plays. 100%. He wants to win and he also wants to play well. So he's got the double whammy as well of it. So this is what I'm just saying. People need to understand that as a collective, everyone deals with things differently. And we're seeing a lot of true colours, if I'm honest, you know.
And they face the consequences in terms of the abuse. Well, one of our friends might laugh at us or something and joke about, oh, United are crap. That's it. You move on. These people, they literally scroll through social media. Rashford's crap. Lingard's crap. Oh, sell Rashford, sell Lingard. That's what these players go through. And you know what? Another thing I wanted to say.
Do you think they should expect and understand that that's going to come their way when you're playing at Manchester United and starting though?
Yeah, but I can't lie. Like, they probably know the abuse they're gonna get. Like, everyone knows it. Like, we know it from social media. But when it first hits you, like, you don't know what to do, kind of thing. Like, you've
answered that great, actually. Because I'm not challenging you, but I'm trying to see from both sides.
Rashford's the goal. Rashford was the goal.
He's never dealt with that before.
Rashford was the guy. Every single fan was singing Marcus Rashford's one of our own, and now they're turning on him.
And he's never had to deal with it. That's a great point.
Like, this is a different challenge.
Going through this.
Yeah. And another thing I wanted to say, when people say, "Oh, people are sympathizing with Rashford, but not Martial, not Pogba," for example. Everyone would have said the same thing with both those players. Like, no one wants players to go through and look how Rashford did on the bench yesterday. No one. So when people say, "Oh, you're only doing it because of Rashford," that's nonsense. Because you're probably the biggest Martial fan out there. Exactly. I criticize Martial a lot, but I'm never saying, "Oh, Martial, go." I don't even know what I don't want to say.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Just a personal, just anything. Yeah. The fact that you can't even think of something shows how you are good as a person, because you can't even think of anything personal you say about it.
Yeah, like, I don't want to say anything, because let's be honest, like, Martial's kind of like, for me, Martial's been one of our own as well. The way I look at it.
Yeah.
Because for me, with Anthony Martial, I said this before. Like, I'm not like you lot where you've seen players come through. Martial's kind of been that first young player that I've seen from a foreign club come in. And let's be honest, he lit the place up on the LVG. Even Jose Mourinho, he was the guy. I've got a post on this guy in my room. Rashford, I literally have him. I literally have his number and his name on one of my shirts. Like, these lot mean a lot to United fans, and seeing the way they are right now, seeing the way they're treated. Same thing with Pogba as well. Pogba's one of our own as well.
Yeah. 100% agree. 100% agree.
And I can't like another thing. Yeah, I feel like with social media, everyone just wants to react in it. Like everyone is so reactionary. Like,
what do you think then when people say to you, Baines, "Oh, you do like," so for example, we're doing a video talking about it now. You know, I'm just gonna throw it out there. People are gonna say, "Bainesy, why are you doing a video on that, but not doing a video on Martial or Pogba?" What would you say back to them?
To that, are Martial and Pogba playing
I'm
right
just
now?
asking because I know we're gonna get it.
Are Martial and Pogba playing right now? No.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally it. Like, if I saw like the thing, and another thing, you see with Martial, the guy's facial expressions don't change at all. Like, it's very hard to read someone like Anthony Martial. With Paul Pogba, you can visibly tell.
Yeah.
I think 100%. Like with Rashford, we could visibly tell yesterday that this ain't Rashford.
Yeah.
And I heard, I think Jesse Lingard yesterday speak as well. It wasn't an interview yesterday, but it's a previous interview that just popped up in it, where it was Jesse talking about the abuse in it, and people around Jesse was like, "You're not Jesse Lingard on the pitch. This ain't the Jesse that we know in terms of you as a footballer."
Yeah.
And I can kind of say the same thing with Marcus Rashford right now. This ain't the Rashford I know.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. And I think you touched. There's a couple of things I want to touch on from that. That's brilliant. You say that because when you said Rashford has never had to face this before, that is exactly it. And people think that, you know, he's had a bit of abuse. He might get that here and there, but 2021 is a year that I've never seen Rashford have it in his life. So the fact that he's gone through all this in the 12 months, as well as the breakup with his 8-year partner and stuff like that, people don't understand how much that can do to someone as well. This is what he's going through for the first time. So Statman's bang on right when you're saying that, you know, when we talk about people deal with things, going back to what I said as well, people deal with things differently. When someone's experienced something for the first time, they don't know how they're going to react until you experience it. It's like someone saying, "Oh, you don't know what it's like to be cheated on until you're cheated on." It's just a basic way of putting it, and you don't. So the fact that Rashford's going through this for the first time now is going to be very challenging for him. And then when it comes to Pogba and Martial, the difference is, guys, is that I love Martial. I've got a pillow of him over there. I don't even pull it up. Oh my God, I got back from work, I didn't even pull it up. But I've got a pillow of Martial. I love him. But the difference for me with Rashford and Pogba Martial, who I put together, is that Rashford came up through the academy. He burst on the scene out of nowhere. And since then, in them sort of 3-4 years, I would say that he's been quite consistent in his numbers. Yeah, he's been quite consistent in his numbers. And his performances up to 2020 have been pretty good. Since 2020, yes, his performances have dipped, and we've all been on his case in terms of his footballing ability. The difference between Martial and Pogba to Rashford is that Martial came in for 50 million as a teenager before he had even stepped on the pitch, before he had even signed the dotted line. Who is he? 50 million down the drain, all this. He was getting criticised before he had even stepped foot on Old Trafford. Rashford weren't getting criticised before he stepped foot on Old Trafford. I remember the Norgeland game or whatever it was. People were like, Rashford starting, like, you're buzzing and excited to see this young kid. Where was that energy for Martial? Why was it all about his price tag? Who is he? Where's he come from? And so forth. So no matter what, Martial already came with people already on his back. And the one thing that I say is same with Oli. No, not every fan wanted Oli as manager. However long they stay, however successful they are, Oli, Martial, Pogba, they could win everything or whatever, and you'll still have fans that are on their back because when they first walked in the club, they weren't loved by everyone. Rashford was loved by everyone. This is why this is different. Paul Pogba leaves the club on a free, goes to Juventus, does very well, comes back because he wants to win. He comes back to Manchester United. He has unfinished business. What happens straight away? We spent 90 million on someone that hasn't won a Champions League. We spent 90 million on someone we let go for free. Like, it's not all about, Manchester United signed Paul Pogba. They're getting a great world-class midfielder. And that's the massive difference. He's already coming back with people on his back straight away. He's got a point to prove straight away rather than just saying, do you know what, Paul Pogba, come in, strike your stuff. Let's enjoy having Paul Pogba and see what happens. When you're already trying to prove yourself from game one, it's a mental obstacle. Martial came on and there was nothing better than seeing him score against Liverpool in his debut. Honestly, that was one of the moments that I've been with Man United for 20 years. And I will always remember that, because to come with that pressure from a country not speaking a language and do that on your debut and shutting fans up, incredible. And that's the difference between Martial, Pogba, and the Rashford. Rashford's dealing with it for the first time. These guys have had it forever.
Even with Martial's had these stuff off the pitch as well.
Yeah.
Like people forget that. Obviously, I wasn't doing content, and otherwise I would have spoke by then. But like he's had his stuff off the pitch. Paul Pogba, let's be honest, Paul Pogba gets so much abuse no matter what. He's had literally fans in front of him abuse it after putting up a very good season. That season where Ollie's first season.
Oh yeah, when they're walking off the pitch.
Yeah, walking off the pitch, fans are coming at you.
You'd never see that to someone like. I'm gonna be honest. You would never see that happen to Scott McTominay.
Yeah, like, at the end of the day, you just have to feel sorry for some of these players at times.
You do. I just. It's mad. The only thing with Rashford is that.
And another thing, I know people are gonna say, "Well, you're biased towards Rashford." I'll be honest. I'll hold my hands up. You see, academy players, I'm a lot more generous to them because I know like these lot love their club in it differently. That they've been through the ranks. I have like an emotional attachment to a Rashford.
Okay.
Like even like someone like Axel to Nzabi. I have an emotional attachment to Axel. I really, really want Axel to do well. And that doesn't mean just at United. That could be elsewhere. Like Axel, when he went to Aston Villa the first time, I was gassed that he got promoted. I was literally watching Aston Villa because of him. You think I'm watching it if it's just some random, if it was whoever they had before starting? Like, I don't know, El Mohammadi or something.
Yeah.
And I ain't watching the game. I'm watching the game because of Axel to Nzabi.
I understand that. I agree with you in terms of following careers, wanting them to do well, but I disagree on terms of the emotional attachment and sort of being more generous. For me, if you're a Manchester United
more
player,
generous is probably the wrong word, isn't it?
Or signing, you're a Manchester United player, so you're no different to the others.
Yeah, more generous is probably the wrong word here, but I do probably have an emotional attachment to academy players.
And do you know what? At least you're honest about it, because I wouldn't. I don't care whether it's an academy, it's Rafael Varane, or Axel Tuanzebe coming up. If they're both playing shit, I will criticize them the same. They're both playing well, I'll praise them the same.
Yeah. And you know what it is, like with Rashford, I've seen this guy play good when we were crap as a club. Like people I don't think people realize how bad we were pre-lockdown. Pereira, Brandon Williams, Dan James. You know who carried us? It was Rashford and Martial.
Yeah.
Phil Jones was starting games. Ashley Young.
It was. Do you know what?
McTominay and Fred.
I'm gonna talk about Rashford in his game, because another conversation I was having at work today, and I was thinking, right, he reminds me a bit of Raheem. They don't play the same, but he reminds me a bit of Raheem Sterling. Now, is this something that he can change, or do you think this is something that he continues? So basically, what I was saying is that with Marcus Rashford, you just said it perfectly. So lockdown, he was playing brilliant with Martial. So you had Martial, his link-up man. Then when he was playing quite well and getting numbers and stuff, you had Bruno Fernandes. Now, what I think with Marcus Rashford, and this is him as a player, and it's not a criticism, but you get players like Riyad Mahrez or Kevin De Bruyne or Eden Hazard. I'm just talking about players. And these are the players that, and I'm naming these players because if you ask Rashford how good does he want to be, he wants to be up there competing with them. He don't want to be on a lower stool. So I've got to compare him to people he wants to be like. Now, De Bruyne, Hazard, even Mahrez, they take games by the scruff of their neck. So their teams are in the woods, they can put them out with a moment of magic. When their teams fly, they're consistent. But hear me out. Don't you think that with Rashford, he plays well and feeds off sort of the energy around him? So if Manchester United go back to sort of playing really well, say, forget the Villa game on the weekend, but say we have the international break, we come back and the team are firing, he would then play really well because the team are firing.
So you kind of call him a confidence player.
Confidence, but I also feel like with him, because I don't feel like he would take a game by the scruff of his neck, maybe because the position he plays in. It's like Raheem Sterling. If Man City are playing really well, Sterling always gets goals or assists. He's always like involved or playing well. But if Man City are not playing great, he will look worse. So this is what I'm trying to say. So
like the only reason I disagree with that,
wait. But with Sterling, for example, like an example is that if Man City are playing poor, I feel like technically Sterling's not great. Rashford technically is not amazing. So when the teams are playing shit, it sort of it blows up his performance individually because he's not great. So if Man United are playing bad, but Pogba's on the pitch, because he can still do nice passes, nice, great touch, he still technically is secure, so he can still look like he's okay. Rashford, Sterling, if a team's playing poor and they're playing poor, they could look more worse than players that are more technically secure because their flaws are then more enhanced. Whereas then when a team are playing well, Rashford will pull with that, get chances, score goals. He will thrive off that around him. And I just don't know if he can take games by the scruff of the neck. And at Manchester United, you need to do that. You could say the same with Martial. Martial plays very well when Pogba was when Rashford was playing well. When Martial came in with the Jose Mourinho side at the start of the season, he was on the bench, but every time he come on, he was scoring because the team were just playing well. They're creating chances. But then when the team takes a dip, Martial's form kind of dipped off because maybe people say he don't work hard or his body language. It kind of makes people
like
it kind of makes people.
You know, the only reason I disagree with that is because pre-lockdown, that 1920 season, Rashford was literally taking games by the scruff of the neck. Like the players weren't good around him. He was literally carrying us differently that time. And the thing is, that you talk about the technical security, yeah, I 100% hear that. But with Rashford, I always felt like there was still that one moment in the game where he would do something eye-catching. Whether that was take someone on down outside or something, or have like a shot or something.
Yeah,
I felt like that part, he doesn't have eye-catching moments right now. And even against Aston Villa, like, he tried. Like
he tried cutting in a few times, and the
little elasticals at times as well against Mighty Cash. Like he tried getting his old self, but he just couldn't do it.
Yeah. And when that's not happening for him, nothing else will, because like you said, a confidence player. And I'll be honest with you, I don't want to say he's a one-trick pony, but I don't feel like
his game is limited.
He's limited. He's not the type of player that can fully adapt his game. Like he does the little shimmy. He wants to run in behind. But when it comes to sort of, tighter games or having to sort of, be someone you're not, I don't feel like you can do that. And that's why I do feel like Martial, despite all his criticism, I love the guy because I feel like he has an all-round game. He can hold up the ball. He can go in behind. He can dribble. He can finish. He can head the ball if he's needed.
Yeah, that's never been Martial's criticism for me. My Martial criticism is his finishing last season. I thought was poor for Martial standards.
Before, that's been brilliant for years.
Exactly. That's why I criticize Martial. Like I said this before. Martial was one of the best finishers in the league before that. Last season, it was poor when he played. But his all-round game, I never criticized. I always said he could hold the ball up. And I even remember because there was a video that one of the Red Talks that we did in January, I think it was, in it. And I was watching it back. And I listened to my criticisms of Martial during that point. And I always said Martial can hold the ball up. His all-round play was good. But what did I criticize? Him in front of goal. That was literally it.
Yeah. And we need him right now. It's funny. I've seen our attack. We need him right now. I really do. I've seen. Well, this is where we can go on to talking about the others as well, actually, and attack. Go on.
Like just quickly on Martial, I said this yesterday. Ralph is begging Edinson Cavani to stay.
You took the words out of my mouth.
You're begging him to stay. You're playing him. Okay, that's fine. I'm fine with you doing that. But then, as soon as you do that, you have to keep the same consistency with the rest of the squad. Martial's deal with Sevilla has now broken through because apparently of the wages. He's available to play. Clearly, no other club can afford him right now. He's a member of your squad. He's under contract at Manchester United. He's training. Play the guy. And I'm not saying he should start week in, week out, but consider him for selection. Have him on the bench. Because let's be honest, Martial's not going to do any worse right now. We're not playing well. Martial's going to drop a 2 out of 10. You're acting like the rest of our attackers haven't dropped 2 out of 10s.
Exactly. And you know what? When you say about consistency, I thought you were going to say it, but you didn't. So when you talk about consistency, like you said, Edinson Cavani, you've begged him to stay, but he's offered nothing for us. But then you've got Ralph Rangnick coming out last night and saying Dean Henderson has said that he wants to leave, but Dean Henderson isn't going anywhere. So Martial wants to leave, and you're saying if no one wants to play for the club, they can go, but Martial can go. But Dean Henderson, you're saying, nah, he can't leave. And I think there was another player as well. I think it was Van der Beek. Van der Beek said that he come in and had a chat with him and said that he wanted to go somewhere in January. And he's like, no, I want you to be part of my plans up until the summer. So don't come out and say that if no one wants to be at the club or if players want to go, they can leave because I want players that want to play. But then do something to Martial that you haven't done to other players. And when people say, have the same energy for Martial, do you know, when it comes to stuff like this, it fucks me off because this is fresh. This is new. With Martial, I actually got sold by them training pictures where I saw Martial playing in the rain jacket. I thought he was back. I thought this is the relaunch of him in a 4-2-2-2. We haven't seen him. But yet, this is probably in his 6 years here, Martial. I'm going to call it the 9.5 role. This is probably the perfect formation for him to execute his qualities. So if he's not going to Sevilla, at least get him back in the fold. I was speaking to my boy, and do you know what he said to me? He said to me, oh, why doesn't he do what Cavani does and go in the office and say, I'm available? I said, different personalities. Cavani will be experienced enough to go in and do that. Martial, if you notice anyone, he's a shy, timid character. Very
There's
good
nothing on him. You
Everyone
don't know
loves him.
anything about Martial's life.
You don't know really nothing about him. Could you imagine him bowling in the office and being like, Ragnick, I want to play? He's not like that. Ragnick would probably have to approach him and say, Martial, do you know what? We're going for a bit of bad form. Do you want to give it another go and see how it goes? And Martial says yes or no. At least you give him the option. Martial ain't going to do what Cavani does and bowl in the office and say, yeah, Ragnick, do you know what? I'm going to change my mind. I'm available. He's a shy, timid, humble character. So for now, I feel like he's just going to be rotting on the bench, wasting his time if he doesn't get a move. And then maybe after January window, he might come back into the fold. But he has to play for me. He has to get even just on the bench or in the squad. I can't be having Elanga, Greenwood, Cavani. Obviously, Ronaldo's doing he scored his goal, so I'm not going to bring him into this conversation. But you can't have, Elanga, Cavani, Greenwood, and Rashford playing over someone that's not even in the squad, but they're dropping stinkers. Like, I want to get on to Mason Greenwood as well, because I think this guy is like sky's the limit for him. And I'm not saying that Manchester United have managed him wrong. I feel like Greenwood's ego, or maybe overly confident, and he's got no one to sort of rein him in. And this is not me going to be having a go at Greenwood. I think he's got great ability. I think he can strike a ball great, but the selfishness in his game so far, and I don't know if it's since Ronaldo is coming, because people say him and him don't click, but even Ronaldo didn't play yesterday. I saw the same traits of Greenwood, just cut in and shoot, no disguise. He's becoming predictable. Now, is this Greenwood's fault, Baines, or is this the lack of direction that the club are showing Greenwood?
It's a tough one with Mason, isn't it? Because everyone knows he's my second favorite player at the club behind Cristiano Ronaldo. I love this kid. Like you said, the sky's the limit with Mason, yeah. But at the same time, you need to look at your performances and add more. You said it there. You're becoming too predictable. Every single time he gets the ball, he's cut in, shoot onto his left foot, bang, and hope the ball goes in. And don't get me wrong, there will be a couple times he scores, like against Leicester, because he has an unbelievable strike on him. And you can celebrate when he scores. But at the same time, there's certain points where there was a point yesterday against Villa, cutting onto his left foot. You created that yard of space. That ball then should have been going to Diego Dalot. Diego Dalot made an unbelievable run. What does he do? Shoot. And this is where I'm like with Mason here. Like, surely, like, I don't know, like, are you being commended for these performances kind of thing at this point? Like, is it literally the blind leading the blind? Like, it doesn't take a rocket science to work out, Mason, you need to stop shooting every single opportunity you get. Because you see with Mason, I've said this guy has a very, very good cross on him. Very, very good cross on him. And I've seen him put balls in. Why are we not seeing it consistently? Or a lot more? Because the quality is there, the volume's not there right now. And with Mason as well. Like, I've seen this guy play in the academy. He's played 10 in the academy before.
Yeah, he has.
Like, surely, like, you know what Mason's good at. You know he's more than just a shooter.
But don't you feel with Mason, when he first burst on the scene, or you even say under Ollie, or when him, Martial and Rashford were playing very well as a three together, I felt like there was cohesion. I did feel like, yes, sometimes he might cut in and shoot. Sometimes he might play a nice inside pass. Sometimes he might cross, or they might rotate positions. I feel like, in a crazy way, I can't believe I'm saying it, but I feel like Mason Greenwood's game has regressed. And maybe it's regressed in terms of Manchester United's team as a whole regressing. But when you look at his performances, I can't sit here and say to you, do you know what? Mason Greenwood is performing better than what he did under that post-lockdown with Martial and Rashford.
You know why?
I'm concerned. His best performance, by the way, was against Leeds as the number 9 on the opening day of the season.
You know why that's tough to judge it? Because I feel like obviously as he gets older, the expectations have got a lot higher with Mason, in it. So I feel like it's hard to compare.
Yeah, but the
fully, because we're asking for a lot more, innit?
Basics.
Yeah. And I also feel like you see with Mason at the start, like he wasn't the guaranteed starter kind of thing, innit? Like he didn't have to do too much to keep his place in the side. he wasn't trying too hard. And you also need to remember, he had the unpredictability side of his game. No one knew who Mason was unless you watched academy football. Like in terms of like defenders, for example. He could do what he wanted.
Yeah.
And defenders gave him that little leeway. Like we even saw it at times, for example, what's an example? When he played Liverpool in the FA Cup. I think he scored that game, yeah. But there was at times where Milner and Robertson were trying to double up on him. Because they knew how good Mason is. Like, and the thing is, like, I genuinely think with Mason, I don't know, man. Is he becoming too big for his boots? I feel like the answer is no. And the only reason I say the answer is no, because I know this guy has a sporting background in terms of his family, innit? Like, I know how protected he is, because even, like, I've said this before on shows and stuff. You need to know, like, his dad doesn't want him doing interviews on Sky and stuff. How many times have you seen Mason speak post-match?
Nah, yeah, I haven't. I didn't know that.
And then where did he speak? England. Why do you think his dad was furious with England for doing it?
Oh, right.
And this is where, when it comes to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, my biggest praise for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was how he handled Mason. I think he handled Mason very, very well in terms of off the field stuff. Remember when his best friend died?
Yep.
That could have been a mad period for Mason.
Yeah.
And he handled it extremely, extremely well, especially with all the accident stuff that was happening at the same time. Stuff that was leaked of him doing balloons when he was 15 and stuff.
Yeah. Didn't he take him out of the side, but in a clever way for a bit of a period? Yeah.
And then I think he played against Leipzig, innit?
And
I think he played in a 2 that day up top.
Yeah, I feel like he did, you know. I feel like he did. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, do you know what? If it won't, I feel Greenwood's got the ability to turn things around. I feel like he's going through a sticky patch and mentally he's developing. He's going from sort of that teenager to sort of going into a man. But I don't want to be sitting here in 18 months and we're having the same conversation about Greenwood. I don't think we will, because I feel like in terms of me in the years, him coming through the academy, he's definitely in the top 3 players I've seen sort of come through our academy and get into the first team easily. So I do feel natural ability-wise, exactly, and ability-wise, he's got it to go to that next level. So I don't expect it to get this bad, because I'll be like, whoa, what a drop-off. Rashford wasn't hyped up in the academy like Greenwood was. But I don't want to get to the point where Greenwood's ego or his selfishness does start overpowering what he can bring to the game, and then people start getting onto him. Like people are getting onto Rashford now.
And it will come, because we know how the fan base are.
Exactly. It could come. And I think, do you know what? If I'm Marcus Rashford, I don't know how tight him and Mason Greenwood are in terms of like together being from Manchester, but Greenwood could use what's happening to Marcus Rashford right now. If I'm Greenwood, I'm being mature and I'm kind of using this as this could happen to me. This is how it can be. I need to also look at my own performances, because as much as everyone's getting onto Rashford, like I said to you, Cavani's not pulling his weight, Greenwood's not pulling his weight, and a lot of the people in the whole squad is not pulling their weight. So if they're really real people and real humans, they will see what's happening to Rashford, but also will know that themselves they're not performing. And Greenwood could use this time now as a way to reflect on his own game and change it. And if Ragnick can't rein it in, I definitely need a new manager to come in and rein it in, because I don't want it to head the way that it shouldn't be, because Greenwood should be someone that's improving year upon year, not having this conversation about, is he selfish now? Is his ego getting the best of him? Is he aggressive? The guy's 20 years old.
Yeah, like Mason's ability, you can't doubt.
How old is he now?
What is he, like 19, 20? Because like, this is what people
20,
realize.
20, you're right.
This guy was like 15 playing with under 18s. Like this guy is not normal in terms of his ability as a footballer. He has one trait which is elite, and that's his finishing. I think with Mason, that like he definitely needs to add more to his game. Definitely needs to add more to his game. But the thing is, like we say he needs to add more to his game. A lot of people have said they want to see Mason play up top. What do you think of that?
Do you know what? It could be the best place for him in this formation. I don't think he's a winger. We've seen enough of this regular cutting inside, not really using the cross. So if he wants to cut inside and sort of and shoot and do all that, I think striker is the best position for him. I feel like he's naturally a finisher. See, that's where he's going to be closest to goal. And one thing that stood out to me is Ragnick said, I think in his first game or his second game, he said Greenwood is the player that could be he's a 9.5 at the club, which I said Martial. I think Martial is the best 9.5, but he's not playing. So if you're going to play Greenwood, I feel like he's got the ability to come in, sort of drop into the pockets, spin the ball on his left foot out to the wide, or spin the ball out, or turn and sort of run at players and do a little bit of dribbling, cutting and shooting.
I do feel Wolves in the second half.
Yeah, Wolves in the second. I do feel like he's got something about him that if he's going to play anywhere, I want it to be in a front two. Whether it will work with Ronaldo or not, I don't know. We saw one game against Newcastle. That's a cold night. St. James's Park. As much as people think Newcastle is shit, styles make fights. Everyone steps up for Manchester United. You can only judge Greenwood and Ronaldo together after at least 5 games. Because as much as we're watching it, they're also adapting to each other because you can train. It's like boxing. You can spar all you like and look sick in sparring. You get to the fight and it's different come fight night. So you can train and look all pretty, but if you're not delivering on the pitch, people are going to be on them thinking they should be like Ronaldo and Rivaldo. It's not going to be like that. You've got to kind of learn that relationship like Rashford and Martial did. I feel like Rashford and Martial are the best together. They love playing with each other. Rashford actually loves playing with Martial. Martial loves playing with Rashford. Greenwood and Ronaldo, we haven't seen it yet, but we'll only be able to judge after a few games. But if he's going to play anywhere, back to your question, I feel like it has to be in the front too. I think he's wasted out wide. And I also feel like in this sort of number 10 role or the wide role, you've also got to be sort of that creative type. So I feel like Sancho does suit being one of the 10s. Bruno could. Van der Beek potentially could. But I don't feel like Greenwood is, and I don't feel like Rashford is. I don't think creative-wise and technically-wise, they're suited to these 2 number 10s like Arbiz said last week.
Mason's a weird one because I'll be honest, you know when people say you should play up top? I think in a 2 up top is a bit different. I think by himself, my answer is no. I don't think he's ready yet.
I agree. He's not ready. Not physically enough.
His goals, like when people say he's a striker, look at most of his goals. They don't really come from that central areas. Like even when you scored against Leeds, he went from the central areas.
Yeah. Pogba's ball down and he was running down the left. Pogba's ball, wasn't it?
Like the most like number 9-ish goal I can kind of remember was, you know, when we played West Ham away last year. That second half, I think. Was it in the second half?
Yeah. The cross came in. Yeah.
And then the little onto his left foot, but it was on the left-hand side, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then bang, a little snapshot.
Yep.
That's the most number 9-ish goal I can kind of remember from Mason.
And
maybe Sheffield United the season before that when he drew 3-3.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't look at him and say you're scoring number 9-ish goals. Your finishing is elite, but for me, you're still a wide forward in my eyes.
Running across the 6-yard box and doing them sort of thing. I feel like what you said is bang on. As a lone striker, I'm not really having Mason Greenwood. But as a pairing in a 2, then I do think it can work for him. And I also feel like it kind of takes the shackles off him a little bit because you've got someone else who's meant to be scoring goals with you. You've got someone else close to you in proximity. When you're isolated as a forward at 20 years old, you can't hold the ball up. You're not great at heading. By the way, that's his weak point in his football, actually. Is heading. He can't head the ball. When you need to do all that as sort of like a proper number 9, yeah, the pressure is intense. But having someone next to you can help you do that. It's so funny. I know we're not going to sign him, but I watched Dusan Vlahovic for Fiorentina a couple of weeks ago against Sassuolo in a brilliant game. But he leads the line by himself. But you can see why he can lead the line because he can hold it up. Ball can come into his chest. He's like a bit more like, technically, he reminds me a bit like that Berbatov type, the way he is with his hair and like he can roll it off and like flick it on, but he's more mobile and stuff. But he looks like a number 9 that can lead the line. Olivier Giroud, like they could lead the line by themselves.
They have a presence about them as well.
Yeah, they've got a presence and you need that. Imagine Mason Greenwood up front alone against Thiago Silva, Rudiger and Aspilicueta.
I think even if he struggles against like someone like Conor Cody.
Yeah, Conor Cody, they in the back 3. Yeah, they eat him alive. So I feel like we've got to manage his game right. If he can't start every game, good. Like manage his minutes, make him realize what it's like to start for Man United, but don't play players for the sake of it. And I feel like Ralph at the moment is still trying to uncover his best team. Look at Jadon Sancho, like he's not established yet. He scored a deflected goal and everyone's hype about it, but Sancho hasn't been able to establish himself yet. Greenwood hasn't. Rashford still hasn't. Bruno hasn't. So no one's actually really, apart from Ronaldo, you could say establishing themselves as a proper starter in Rangnick's side. I think Sancho's on his way out of all of them. I do think Sancho's the closest to sort of, it'll be him and Ronaldo, and then the other 2 spots are up for grabs. But
one thing I will say on Mason though, as much as we're saying he needs to do less, I'm gonna continue banging this horn here. He needs to be taking free kicks. I've had enough of everyone else taking free kicks. I've seen this guy in the academy. Search up his goal against, I think it was Newcastle under 23s. Search up his free kicks against Liverpool. I've seen this guy score free kicks with both his feet. Trust me when I say this, and I'm gonna continue saying this until he takes them. He needs to be on free kicks. Like Ronaldo is not a good.
Do you think in training he takes him and they're just not on it, or what?
I don't know. Like I can only judge from what I've seen, and people can say he's academy football, whatever. Yeah, a dead ball specialist is Mason. A set piece is a set piece. Yeah. Maybe the goalkeeper's not.
So what does he do with his free kicks? I saw some of them. Does he whip him? Does he blast him? So I remember some of them blasting like rockets.
You know, against I think one of the free kicks he scored against Liverpool. Yeah, I think he even slipped and he still scored. Against Newcastle, it was a bit from like longer out in it, so it's a bit different. But trust me, this guy's ability from free kicks. I wish I could like show the clips and stuff in it, but I don't want it to get copyrighted. It's a joke. But like, go search it up. Trust me, he should be a free kick taker.
That'd be interesting. That could add another dimension to the game. He takes corners, so obviously he must be quite good at set pieces. It makes sense.
He started to take corners this year.
Yeah, he started to take corners this year. Yeah, don't get copyrighted. None of that. Yeah, I'll watch it after though, 100%. Yeah, I don't know,
on
man.
The free kick thing from last year. Last year, I've been saying it needs to be on free kicks.
Yeah. Okay. Rashford, Greenwood. Lastly, I just wanted to see what you think about McTominay and Luke Shaw out on the weekend. So who comes in for him?
Tellers and Fred, isn't it?
You think?
If Ralph is brave, it has to be someone like Donny. Because he spoke about Donny and how he came on and controlled the game. And it made it harder for Aston Villa to play through. You've seen that now with Donny.
Did he say, though, did Ralph say he came on and when he did it, he changed it to a diamond?
I don't think he changed it to a diamond. I think Donny van der Beek was kind of in the 10 and then Bruno was still up top, innit? As a 9 kind of thing. That's what it looked like.
Right, because I did feel like there's an image, I think United Analytics, big up Was, he put up one without Donny and then one with Donny, and it looked like we went to more like a flat 3, and it made it harder for Aston Villa to play through us because I'll be honest, our midfield was getting overrun by Aston Villa so much in that first half. But I'll be honest, it's one of the luckiest 1-0s I've seen, and I think we were so fortunate. And when you go into this game on the weekend with McTominay out, I think Van der Beek should definitely come in. Obviously, Tellers will come in for sure. I'm intrigued to see what Rangnick does. Obviously, I don't know if Matic is available, but for me, Fred for the mobility, Van der Beek has to play, and obviously Tellers comes in. But if Rangnick's as good as coach as what he is, and he noticed the change when Van der Beek came on in whatever system he played, then I do expect a different performance against Aston Villa because I'm worried already going into the weekend. I already think that we're going to lose because I feel like their fans, the way Watkins is running the channel, they've got Coutinho who's going to come in and probably score in the last 10 minutes when he comes on as a sub. It's just written in the stars that we won't beat Aston Villa. But we have to perform better because that was one of the luckiest 1-0s. And, Gerrard as a coach, I'll be honest, I know that they might have lost the same amount as they've won, but I see why he's at Villa. I see how Rangers, as much as I hate him, I see how Rangers has helped him because when they came to Old Trafford, they were playing some good football. The chance where I think him and Watkins bounced it off each other with Bendia and then he shot and De Gea held it. I was like, I haven't seen Man United do that in months.
Yeah, but they were very, very impressive.
They were impressive.
Steven Gerrard's an interesting one, isn't it? Because it does seem like, I can't remember who I was listening to. Yeah, they said this guy's literally like a perfectionist. Like literally a perfectionist. Like he's literally onto players about their body fat, everything.
Oh, raw.
Yeah, and you can tell when you look at Steven Gerrard here, he does look like he has that bit of like a stern side to him, innit?
Yeah, definitely.
Like even that, yesterday, I know people are making fun of it on Twitter.
Look at Stretford end.
No lie. Like there's something about Steven Gerrard the more I look at it. And when people are saying, oh, he shouldn't have got the Villa job, I said I think this is a brilliant move.
Yeah.
I said that at the time with Rants, I think, on one of the Red Tools. And as an outsider looking at it as a neutral, fair play to him. Because let's be honest, most of the games he has lost have been against the better sides. The likes of City, Liverpool, Chelsea.
True.
United, let's be honest, on paper, he should be losing against.
Yeah.
But even then, he didn't deserve to lose.
I think the only one I was surprised by was Brentford.
Yeah. But like you have that one off game here and there, innit?
And do you know, look at Brentford's results at home. So who's there to who are we to say anything? We're going there next week and we'll probably lose as well.
Oh,
even though I don't want to say like that.
Don't remind me. Yeah, but like listen, that's been the end of today's video. We talked Rashford, talked Martial, Pogba, Mason, Steven Gerrard. It's been emotional. Is there anything you want to say?
Do you know what? I feel much better talking about it rather than tweeting and messaging people about it. I think coming on shows, and this is why we do it, just feels so much better when you're releasing everything. And I hope people that watch this, obviously smash a like and subscribe to Statman Baines. Make sure you subscribe to Trafford Tunnel. That's where my content is. But what me and Statman wanted to do is just break down. It's not, biases towards Rashford. It's just breaking down, the footballing side of Marcus Rashford and what's going on outside of it. We also touched on obviously comparing how Martial and Pogba are slightly different to Rashford, not in a good or bad way, just comparing the differences. And hopefully us having a great discussion has opened your guys, and the girls who are wherever watching, your minds up a little bit in terms of life, just in general. Some people are different. Some people are sensitive more than others. Some people are dealing with things for the first time. You don't know what it's going to be like. So, smash a like and subscribe. Trafford Tunnel, Statman's going to be on with us every Wednesday. Haji's on with us on Mondays. And we've got other content as well. So, please keep supporting. And Statman, big up every time for having me, man.
Yeah, big up Ty for coming on. Make sure you guys like the video. Comment your thoughts on how we can get the best out of Marcus Rashford. And we will be back soon.